The clinical interview with the child should be considered as one piece of a puzzle that is ready to be assembled when all the other data are gathered. In presenting a detailed method of approaching a child and the child's family from the initial telephone call to the final presentation of the findings, we should have an understanding of the child's problems and also establish a good relationship, or at least communication, with the child and family members, without which the likelihood of a successful psychotherapy is minimal. It is obvious that the evaluation process can take many weeks. A clinician who has the time and no concern about third-party payers may see the child optimally 4 or 5 times before completing the evaluation. In these days, it's almost impossible with managed care, with insurance companies, to have the value of extended time. 3 interviews is what the American Academy of Child Psychiatry recommends, and even that is sometimes not given enough attention. Today we have many structured interviews that are very helpful in making a diagnosis, but I personally don't think they're nearly as effective as a semi-structured interview, which is not diagnostic, but simply on the road to leading toward an appropriate diagnosis. Aurelia, did Mom explain a little bit of why you're here and what you're doing with me?
Not really, other than an interview.
The reason it's very nice of you to do this because this is really, I'm a doctor like Mom, but we're making a movie to help other people learn how to talk to kids. Let me just start by asking a few regular questions like, how old are you?
I'm 11.
How many people are in your family who lives with you in the house?
Do you count my dogs?
Every dog has a personality. Sometimes they say it's the personality like their owner. Like if the mom is very laid back and calm, so the dog can be nice and calm, So who is she most like in your family, do you think?
Probably Cassie and my sister.
He's probably most like, it's interesting. Do you remember at all when your sister was born? You were what?
I was 2.
You were 2. So how was it having, when you were 3 and she was 1, how was it having a baby sister? What was it like for you?
I remember at one point, she would speak only what we used to call baby language, and I was the only one who could ever understand her. And she was Wawa.
It's so funny how the first words, people sometimes are very interested in the first word. So a mom and dad, this is a true story, were very interested in what the first word would be. And one day, the child who was then, I think, 2, said, garbage, garbage. And the parents were so shocked. Why don't they say mommy and daddy or papa? It's because every day at 5 in the morning, the garbage truck would come by and he would say garbage. And so the baby, that was the first word, which was very surprising to people. So how do you and your sister get along? Because sometimes sisters can be a little pesty, sometimes. I mean, a lot of times.
We get along well. We do fight a lot, but we do play a lot too. So.
Well, this is important because, it's really nice if sisters and brothers, of course, can grow to be really good friends. And sometimes you heard what sibling rivalry is, about that, where one sibling, a sister or brother, is angry with the other one. You know whose fault that would be if we see that?
Because they're siblings and they fight a lot.
Well, because, it's usually that the parents didn't do a very good job of preparing the older one, like you, that they're going to have a new baby and that they might resent, but they can't do anything bad to it. And they're going to one day be better friends. But they have to understand that the older, especially a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, could be resentful. And it's, like 100%, 99%. But it's the parents' job to make them understand that kid is here to stay. Now, I'm going to ask you some really, they sound like stupid questions, but it's part of the interview. So What would you do if a new girl came to your class who didn't know anybody and was completely strange to the school, maybe even the country? What would you do with that girl?
I'd probably go up to her and try and become her friend.
And how would you do that? What would you tell her?
I don't know, being friends with her and talking with her. And
But that would be very nice to go over to her. Why would you do that? She's a stranger. You don't know her. How come you'd be nice to her like that?
one, because I love making new friends. Two, because I don't like seeing people feel alone. It makes me sad, seeing other people sad.
That happens to be a very beautiful answer. Let's pretend that you're in the city and you hear a big crash, a big noise outside the window, and you run to the window. Imagine, what do you see?
A car hitting a building. I don't know why. I just see a car hitting a building.
And then what happened?
The police come and an ambulance, and because they always send a police and ambulance, the ambulance just.
So the ambulance came and the police, was somebody hurt or what happened?
No, they just always come even if no one's hurt.
And everybody was okay?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. But I think your answer is, I'd like people to hear that. There's a crash, came, etc., but then everybody was okay, which is nice. Now here's another hypothetical. A man is walking down the street and a $10 bill falls out of his pocket right onto the ground. What would you do?
I'd probably take it and go up to him and ask if and tell him that he dropped it and give it back to him.
Okay, so let's pretend that the light turns red and the man just crosses and you can't cross the street because it's a red light. And so you see he's walking away into the crowd. So what do you do then?
If I can't get it to him, then I don't know what I would do. I don't know. Because I don't want to just drop it because that wouldn't do anything.
You have $10 now. So what do you do with the $10? You know, you can do anything.
Oh, I'd probably put it in the curse jar we have at home, which ends up going donated to kids at the.
So you take it home. But you know, but I don't know you really. I just met you for the first time. But your answers tell me that you have a great deal of feeling for other people. That happens to be a very lovely response. And it's always nice to hear that, you know.
Me and my sister actually share our wallet. So whenever we do lemonade stands, instead of doing all the work splitting it, we just share.
Yeah, but you know, you are a good big sister. Now, I didn't ask you a few questions. What's your favorite subject in school?
I would say it's both math, writing, and cultural history. I like all of them. No, I'm about to name like 5.
But listen, it sounds to me that you really like school. Well, listen, did you think about, I know you're 11, but some kids at 11 have ideas of what they might want to be when they grow up. Do you have any idea?
I think I want to be a psychiatrist when I grow up, actually.
You think you might want to be a psychiatrist?
Yeah.
I wonder where that comes from. Who in your life is a psychiatrist that you might want to be like?
My mom.
I guess so. I think that's a lovely thing. What do you think is good about what mom does or what I do, you know, as a psychiatrist? What's a good thing about it?
She gets to help people all day, and she gets to talk to people and understand them, and she's really good at understanding people's feelings. And
but that you should want to be like that and be like her. You're already a helping person. You've given me a lot of examples of really being a very helpful and thoughtful girl, really. But of all the things that you like to do, like if you, beside being a psychiatrist, you don't have to just do one thing. You can do something else. People have a vocation and an avocation.
I like to dance, sing, play tennis. I like to play volleyball.
Did you watch any of the Olympics and see some people in the Olympics?
Yeah, I watched gymnastics, diving, synchronized diving.
Are you a good swimmer?
Yeah, I like to swim. I learned how to swim when I think I was like 2. I think at least. I think that's what my mom told me.
But did you ever do diving? Because that looked so hard to me.
I love to dive, but I can only do front dives and back dives. I can't do anything like they can.
Well, no, I mean, it's very special. Do you have a best friend, or one that you'd like to do some of these sports or activities with?
Well, none of them really do the activities with me, but I have a best in-school friend and best out-of-school friend.
So you have a few friends who are really that you're close to. What's the difference between an acquaintance and a friend?
The difference is mainly a friend is someone that you actually talk to a lot, that you actually talked to long enough to know them. Otherwise, it's just someone you see walking down the hall. You don't actually know anything about them.
Let's say you have a secret. Would you tell a friend, not an acquaintance, but a friend, your secret, if you have one?
It depends what secret it is. It depends, like, what it is and if it involves them.
But would you trust a friend to keep your secret if you have one?
Only if it's a good friend.
But what if that friend, let's say you told a friend something, maybe that you got a bad grade or something, you told a friend, and you said, I'm just telling you, but it's a secret. And what if that friend then went and told everybody in the school? Or what would you do if a friend that you thought was a friend did something like that, betrayed your secret?
I'd probably talk to them, see why they did it, and possibly ignore them for a while, unless they say like sorry and like all that stuff, because it's really unkind to betray someone that trusts you.
First of all, you said something I think very important. You said, I would talk to them. The person told something that was secret and told other people. Some people wouldn't do that. They would be just so angry or so upset, or they'd never see them. The idea to talk to them would be, I think, very important. What if she did it a second time?
Then I'd start getting a lot more angry. But I would still talk to them, but I would not trust them with any more secrets.
But what you say is very important, because it can happen, and you're very forgiving girl. You said, I forgive them once, but if they did it again, maybe that's not such a good friend. Maybe that you could have a different friend from that one, because she certainly hasn't been very nice. And there are girls like that. Listen, in your school, which I do not know, are there any mean girls?
No, everyone in my school is nice.
Well, you're lucky, because a lot of schools have mean people in them, and it's hard to deal with them when that's how they are. It sounds like you're pretty good. Tell me, is there anything that you don't like about yourself in terms of how you look? Is there anything you would change at all?
Not really. I think I'm pretty the way I am.
You say you like the way you are. I think that's one of the nicest answers I've ever heard, really. Tell me about the time at camp when you interviewed somebody.
At my camp, you can choose what activities you want to do. One of mine was I was in the newspaper. So we chose the people we wanted to interview, and we all chose, and we kind of decided who's going to interview who and stuff. I interviewed a counselor named Joe.
And when you had to get up and read your paper of your interview, how did you feel reading it in front of a whole crowd of people?
At first, I feel a little nervous, but then when I start, I feel better about it. It's like whenever I sing in front of people, it's like at first it's nervous to start, but then once you started, you don't feel nervous anymore.
It sounds like you do so many really good things. Do you know the expression butterflies in the stomach? People get a little nervous and they get little funny feeling, but when you're performing it, you're great. You seem to really like that.
Yeah, it's nice whenever I start. It's just a little scary at first. Whenever you
Yeah, but see, that's a very good thing. That's what artists have when they have to perform. A little nervous at first, and then they love it. You seem like a happy girl, and your dog seems like a happy pup, also, dog. And your family does seem that. And, that's so nice. I'm so happy that you came because this is going to help a lot of people. What we talked about is actually more important than many people think because it has to do with a person's character and not only your achievements and what you do, but to have that kind of good, empathic, good character is a wonderful thing.
I also just found something that my that a puppy chewed. It's a mark. Chewed
Yeah,
up.
that's good,
I think it's from Happy, the new puppy.
which is very nice. We'll say goodbye for now. Thank you very much for coming today. It's a very big help for a lot of people. Okay?
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Hello. I'd like to make a few comments about the interview that you just saw. First of all, to thank that wonderful little girl who volunteered happily to help me in this demonstration. The demonstration, of course, is interview technique in a semi-structured way, actually a screening interview. At a later date, I'm going to demonstrate interviewing a child with pathology, and it's a very different approach, of course, because with that child I would have all the information from the teachers, from the parents, school reports, psychological, before I even saw the child. And at that point I would start very differently, asking, why do you think you're here? What is the reason for seeing me? I'm a kind of doctor who deals with children's feelings, etc. In this case, we know it's a demonstration of certain kinds of a technique. Now, in the beginning of an interview like this, one can see a lot, you can gain a lot of information. What the child looks like, the motor behavior, whether they're absolutely related in the first instance, whether they're shy or looking down or looking away. You can tell a great deal, whether there's a sense of humor to jokes, whether they understand what you're saying to them, or whether their vocabulary is age appropriate. There's so many things you can tell. I particularly like it when a child understands what I'm saying and even has a sense of humor about a little joke or seems to be making a connection. So in this interview, I wanted to bring out certain aspects, even without knowing that much about the child, but we did learn a great deal by talking about the family, about her pets, about the fact that she has children at school whom she can trust. You want to know if she can relate to you and tell a stranger, albeit a professional stranger, psychiatrist or psychologist, anything at all, or whether she's able to be open and express feelings and thoughts, which this child definitely did. I asked a lot of unusual questions, and I said, these are silly questions, but from these kind of questions, like a Rorschach, you can learn a great deal. For example, the incident of what happens if you hear a crash outside your building. Now, very often they will say a car crash, but it's very different from having a car crash where everybody is saved versus one in which everybody is dead. At that point, you know there's either been some trauma in the child's life, or there's been a death, or there's a Great Depression, but it's a red flag, a warning for other things that you want to examine more carefully at a later date. It's very interesting to learn about empathy of a child. That little question of what would you do first day at school was very important, and it showed the girl had a great deal of feeling, wanting to help somebody, wanting to do it, did not want other people to experience a lonely feeling. Very expressive. And many children will explain that, and others will have absolutely no feeling whatsoever. It's just a nothing, or I'll walk away, it's not my business. Very, very different. When I asked her about how she felt about herself, and she said she liked herself, this is very different from most teenagers who certainly want to be very different. They know that they're going through an awkward stage. Nothing fits. They're outgrowing everything. They don't like a million things about them, usually external things, their skin, or that they get a pimple, which of course acne. And it's very hard for teenagers. It's very nice to hear somebody very happily satisfied with who they are. In subsequent episodes, we're going to demonstrate how an actual interview takes place with children who are brought in because of symptoms and family pathology, and we have many more detailed examples. But in the meantime, goodbye for now. Thank you for watching.